413 News. Tonight's talk is about Somerset High School and their standardized test scores. Now to Stephanie for some specifics on the subject.
Thank you, Jason.
You're very welcome, Stephanie.
First up tonight, we're going to take a look at Somerset High School's standardized test scores, looking specifically at populations within the school. First, we're going to look at reading scores. As you can see from the chart on the screen, many of the scores do not differ between the population groups. When you're looking at both male and female, there are changes, but they're not drastic changes between the genders. And then also when you look at whites compared to African Americans, there's not much of a difference there either. The only drastic difference that you can see on this chart is the difference between the gifted and talented and those with disabilities. And now to look at a trend for the whole school when it comes to reading as a whole, we can see that this information covers from 2007 to 2010, and you can see that distinguished has steadily decreased over time from 2007 to 2010. The number of apprentice lows has increased slightly since 2007, and for novice mediums, they decreased between 07 and 09 and then increased drastically between 09 and 010. Now over to Jason with some specifics on math.
Hello, and thank you, Stephanie. I'll be looking specifically at the 2009-2010 populations for math scores. Between female and male, there was not a drastic difference in between scores. White and African American, there is a bit more. White did in fact have a percentage of distinguished students, but African American had no representation there. And had a greater, more substantial amount of novice scores than the white for that. And if you look toward the gifted and talented and free and reduced lunch, you'll see that gifted and talented had a lot more distinguished scores and proficient and so on. For free and reduced lunch, there was a greater number in novice. And now we shall look at some trends in math scores for different years for standardized testing for Somerset High School. Apprentice low decreased from 2007-2008, increased in 2009, and decreased again in 2010. Distinguished decreased only slightly from 2007 to 2008, slight increase from 2008 to 2009, and decreased again in 2010. Back to you, Stephanie.
Now we're going to take a look at comparing Somerset High School's standardized test scores to the state's test scores. First, we're going to look at reading open response specifically. Now, the open responses are scored on the basis of 0 to 4, 0 being the lowest score and 4 being the highest score. Specifically under open response, we have developing understanding for a category, and the average for the school was a score of 2 out of 4, and an average for the state was a 1.8 out of 4. Under interpreting text, Somerset had a 1.9 average out of 4, and the state had a 1.8. And for critical stance, Somerset had 1.9 out of 4, and the state had 1.9. Now, under multiple choice for reading, this is based on the number of the percentage of students who answered these questions correctly. For forming a foundation, 79% of the students at Somerset High School answered these correctly, and the state had 80%. For developing understanding, Somerset had 77%, the state had 80%. For interpreting text, Somerset had 77%, the state had 78%. And for critical stance, Somerset had 67 compared to the state score of 69. Now over to Jason, who will explain the same kind of information but for math specifically.
Thank you, Stephanie. Okay, for a summary of math test scores for standardized testing for Somerset High School. Open response, and of course these are a 0 to 4 score. Number property operations. Average school score was a 1.0 with a state score of 1.2. Measurement for school was a 2.1 and then state score of a 2.0. Geometry, 1.4, the state score of 1.5. Data analysis probability, a 2.2, compared to the state score of 2.2. Algebraic thinking, a 1.9, compared to the state score of 1.9. Okay, and now for multiple choice. Number property operations, the average school score for Somerset High School was a 58% compared to the state score of a 61%. Measurement, 49% compared to the state score of 51%. Geometry, 69% compared to the state score of 73%. Data and analysis, 57% with a state score of 59%. Algebraic thinking, the average school score was 51% compared to the state score of 48%.
Oh, wait, Jason, this just came in. The EDF 413 Teacher of the Year Award goes to
Dr. Jeanette Laverne.
Congratulations.
Today's broadcast is also brought to you by Travelocity, bringing you to the Virgin Islands, making dreams come true. Sounds like a pretty awesome place to go. I think I might want to live there one day.
Sounds good. And that sums up our information today on Somerset High School standardized test scores. Thank you for tuning in. Oh, by the way, Jason, I heard word on the street is that you yourself attended Somerset High School.
You know, Stephanie, I will admit, I am a Briar Jumper, and it was an awesome school. I'd like to give a shout out to all my Briar Jumper peeps out there. Go Jumpers. And today's distractor of the day for all of you test-taking enthusiasts is truck.
Well, thank you, and tune in next time to
WEDF Channel 413 News. Stay classy, Richmond.